Welcome to another painting tutorial. In this one we're going to look at the Orcs and Goblin Savage Orc Boss. So this is the single frame plastic character kit that you can get. Here's what he looked like when I was finished, and I basically followed the White Dwarf painting guide that came out last year, 2012. Same one with the Orc Bomber and the Space Marine Flyer in it. So here's the Citadel paints that I used for painting it up, and I'm going to be going through and showing you in sort of 4 times speed all my actual painting of the model, but I'm going to explain it first with the paints, and then we'll cut over to that, and then I'll show you the finished model. So the flesh was all these green colors. I actually used Screaming Skull at the very end here for a light highlight, and used the green glaze at the very end to kind of bring the greens back in. For the axe handle, we got that. For the leather, we got these guys here. For the stone, use this and then a bit of the dry brush, that long beard there. This is the war paint and the hair. So there's not a lot of the colors to this. Oh, sorry, yeah, the bone was this. So just showing you the different things. If you go to my blog, there'll be images of these. You can check that out. Might help you as a painting guide. You can use that as the guide as you're painting the guy. So yeah, so greens there, and you'll see as I paint the model what that looks like. For the axe handle there, just some of those medium browns. The leather bits, I didn't highlight anything beyond the scrag brown. War paint, I did that at the very end, so painted that on there. And bones and teeth, we just got your regular bone triad. Well, not really triad, but 3 colors there. And the hair, I actually didn't use Kaborg Crimson. I used Agrax Earthshade, so the same as everything else here. Doesn't really matter which one you use. You'll get a brighter red if you use this guy, but a dirtier red if you use the Agrax Earthshade. And there's the stone. You could use some of the different grays too. Just you want a bit of a brownish. You don't want a pure gray. You don't want so. Anyways, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the other one, and I'll see you at the end. Alright, so now I'm walking through the different stage by stage painting. So I did I forgot to press record for the first bit, but basically I painted everything War Boss green. So it's dark green, and now I'm going across everything with, forget which, WAG green, forget which one's which. Anyways, painting all the sort of lighter areas, trying to leave the deep recesses, not being too worried about getting it perfectly. And don't worry, I'm going to fix the framing of this shot in the next set here. Well, actually, over the course of it, I kind of go back and forth. But anyways, you can see I'm just kind of overbrushing everything, trying to leave the deepest recesses, the darkest color. And then I'm going to give this a wash of the green wash shade, and then repaint this same color over top again. And the idea is that'll help things blend a bit better. So there we are, Beltan green, and just giving a nice heavy wash of that everywhere. And trying to get in nice pools in all of the recesses so that it'll just sit in there and dry nicely, and that'll help blend some of those colors and give me nice deep shadows on everything. Okay, so we're almost ready to finish this one off. Obviously it's going to take a little bit of time to dry in between here that I don't show, but skipping ahead. So okay, now we're going to do the, oh, I guess I'm not waiting for it to dry. I'm just doing the red on the hair there. So just painting a base coat on with the base layer. And there it is. Okay, and I'm trying to do the base coat of all of the browns. So that's the Mornfang, or is that Scrag brown? I forget. But if you look at the beginning of the tutorial, you'll see all the colors. And yeah, just trying to get a nice, relatively even base coat on there, and I'm doing that as the other bit's drying. Trying not to get it to touch the pools of wash, but I'm going to be giving this a Agrax Earthshade wash, and that'll help blend any of the edges that are not perfect. So that's the straps there holding the blade on. He's got a couple little wristbands and his little loincloth and strap across his chest. Not too many different, oh yeah, and the top knot, that gets them as well. Okay, dryad bark is going on there on the shaft of the axe, and yeah, I really have to work on that framing of that shot. I'm really sorry about that. I do fix it by the end, I'm pretty sure, so we'll see. Okay, so now I'm doing the Xandri dust for all of the base color of the bones and teeth that are adorning his outfit. So he's got that skull on the side there. I guess that's a bit of an optional bit. You wouldn't have to put that on. And his fingernails and his teeth. There we go. Try to keep some of that in frame. And he's got a little thing on his ear there, a little earring that's made out of a tooth. And there we go with that skull on the side. Not quite sure what kind of skull that's supposed to be. So now we're doing the Agrex Earthshade wash for all that. So this wash is kind of going on while the other one's drying. If they two touch each other, it's not really going to matter too much. The Earthshade could have even been used for the green as well. It could do the whole thing. I'm going to do the hair. You could do the hair with the Coborg Crimson, but just to keep things simple, I washed pretty much everything in either the green or the brown, so it's pretty obvious which one goes for which. And while this might take a little bit of time in the video, it's a very fast step, and by the time you've got the washes dried, you're pretty much past all the hard bits for the model. Well, the details are all left, but the time-consuming parts are pretty much everything, at least in the way that I do it, preceding the washes. And yeah, so that's going to take a little bit of time to dry because it's nice and thick in there in some of those recesses. Okay, so now I'm going back to that green and trying to paint over all of those areas. Trying to give it a little bit of a texture to things. There we go, you can actually see what I'm painting. Oh, I spoke too soon. Oh, there we go. And again, trying to make sure that I stay on the top of the surfaces, leaving the deep recesses there, but also concerning myself with the sort of the edges on there, because it's going to be pretty much even colors around some of the edges. Sorry, even lines is what I mean, where the deep recesses come in. So trying to maintain those and get the best look on the highlights. There's going to be a couple layers above this, but this one here is probably going to set the tone for everything else. This is the most obvious layer. It takes a little bit of time, and I do a little bit of this off camera just because it's really awkward with the way that I have the model held there. Trying to do everything on camera, which I'm not 100% successful at. Okay, so now I'm doing Scarsneck Green for the highlights, so I'm just doing this inside there, and I'm trying to give a little bit of texture to these muscles. You can see there just the brush strokes, trying to get them look like tendons and sinews, and so a little bit of definition on those muscles, not just big bulbs of things. And again, this layer takes a long time because obviously with a Savage Orc, this is a focal point of the model. Sort of all that detail on the muscles is going to be what sticks out most, especially on the tabletop from far away. So trying to make sure that I get all the details in there and not paint on anything else now that I have it all base coated. Okay, and yeah, it's working on the feet there. Sometimes I use a bit of an overbrushing, sometimes I actually just paint directly the areas I want. And by overbrushing I mean just kind of with less paint on the brush, just brushing it across the ridges. Okay, so now I'm highlighting up the teeth with a middle tone, so I'm painting most of the surface with that, trying to blend it a little bit with the dark color and the shade. But going to be doing a highlight on top of this, so it's going to cover the majority of the surface area, and just leaving the recesses the darkest colors. And this is kind of just a contrast color on this model, not a lot of details with it, but just helps bring out a little bit of differentiation, I guess. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next highlight, and so this is like sort of barely off white. I don't actually highlight up to white on these, so this is the last highlight on there. And just trying to get some of the edges. These the last highlight of things goes really quick just because you're just touching on some of the edges. And I'm also doing a little bit of the green there, nice and thin down, almost a dry brush in some areas, and it just helped to bring out some of the top highlights. Okay, so now I'm doing the axe there, so I think that's Dawnstone I just showed. So I'm overbrushing everything, I'm trying to get as much of the details out, and moving on to the next one. Actually, sorry, that was Longbeard Gray. It was like a dry brush. Now I'm painting on the edges. Scrag Brown, doing the highlights on all the leather. And you can see each of these steps now is increasingly faster than the previous one, and because there's less and less surfaces that I have to paint. And Baylor Brown, oh, actually I'm just finishing up that Scrag Brown there. I had to do that in 2 steps because I ran out of time the other day. And yeah, there's a bit of detail here and there with that. I like to keep those all the same color, so I could have done the laces, like any of the strings, a different color, but keeping it that same color just simplifies the model and helps speed things up and makes very little difference in what you would notice. Okay, now what do we have? Okay, Baneblade Brown, and that's going to be the highlights on the axe there, on the wood. So this is kind of a blue-brown, not a blue-brown, a grayish brown, I should say. And now I'm using the glaze on all the green, so nice, relatively thick layer. And this will help brighten up the green and blend a couple of those highlights. So just painting that over all of the green surfaces everywhere, and that'll just help it pop a little bit more. Because I went up to the Screaming Skull off white for the highlight, it would have dulled things down a little bit. And some people like their orcs a little bit of a dullish color, dullish green. I like mine a nice bright green, almost a glowing neat green. Just find that a little bit suits the cartoonish character that I think that they have. And I know some people like them a bit darker, maybe with the brown washes and whatever, but I like my greens nice and bright. Okay, so now I'm doing the war paint. Basically the model is done, just have to finish up some of these highlights. And might not have shown it, but I highlighted the hair. Might have been off camera there, or it could have been just a really fast one. So I'm painting just a strip down in the middle of his face, a couple zigzags on his arms and legs, and a couple other bands. Now shading it all, just basically painting over the whole thing. I don't know that it really pools in the recesses, but it helps deepen the color of it all. And that'll stand out a bit more as I do the next highlight layer, which apparently is going to take a long time. I'm looking at the video there. So yeah, just doing those there and going to let it dry. Now doing Techless Blue. So trying to paint down the middle of all of these pieces. And you may have noticed that I did a couple of the blues off camera. I think I do this one all on camera. And it seems that the model is staying in the middle of the frame a little bit better. So I have a new lens, so I'm trying to sort that out a bit better, trying to keep everything in frame and in focus, which is always a trick when you're trying to paint at a relatively decent speed. So yeah, painting just inside, trying to leave a bit of a halo around the outside of those blues, and getting my head in the way there, sorry. And the brush I'm using is an 18-0 liner brush, so a nice long tip on it, and I find that gives me plenty of control. And that's pretty much the smallest brush I ever use. It's what is it here? It's a Lowell Cornell brush that I got from Michael's Craft Store, and it's lasted me a long time. Okay, so the final highlight. So I'm just doing some touches on the edges, highlighting on the muscles. And we're going to switch back over to the finished model, and you'll get to see some still images of what this all looks like when it's done. Okay, so here's the finished model. That's the same image you saw before. So here's a bunch of different views, and yeah, really cool model, awesome dynamic pose, and I can't wait to see this lined up with the rest of my Savage Orcs. The assembly of this guy is pretty good. I show you images of that on my blog as well, and super easy to assemble, nicely fit together, minimal gaps or mold lines or anything like that, as it is with just about every GW kit these days. So great model, fast to paint because it's a fantasy one. There's lots less colors to worry about, and yeah, some nice, great details, nice scenic base that comes with it. Hope you enjoyed this. Check out my other stuff. Lots of Orcs and Goblins, lots of 40k stuff, and be sure to subscribe and check out my blog. See you next time.